Hello again. Today I wanted to go over the new tool that was released by the Friends+Me company that allows you to export your Google Plus posts and import them somewhere else. So for those of you who don't know, Google Plus is shutting down their public version of the service sometime in March, April, which means that any content you have, if you haven't done something with it, then it's going to be gone. So if you do care about your content and you want to move it somewhere else, this is one approach anyway. So let's go ahead and jump into the, you see here, into the screen right here, and just go over that. So the Google Plus supporter, I got this email from the awesome folks at Friends+Me, and I'm going to say some few negative things about it, but it's awesome what they're doing because nobody else is doing it, at least that I've seen. So big kudos to them for even doing it, because at least you can do something. It's just not as perfect as you would hope, but it's definitely better than anything else out there. Yesterday I talked about how I moved some of my stuff already using manual approach, which of course is always an option. You have the most capabilities that way, but also it's the slowest way to do it, because if you have a lot of content, it would take you forever basically to move a lot of content manually. So the automated approach is preferable, but you know, the options are not there right now except for Google Takeout, which allows you to export all your posts, but there is no any kind of import capability to go from there. So one thing I haven't tried yet is I haven't tried trying to, since it's both Google, since basically their Takeout is their service and Blogger is their service too, I have not tried to see if I can import. So that's something I'm going to have to try, and I'll do another video if it works. But in the meantime, the Friends+Me approach, just quickly go over what it actually does. So I got this email, jumped into the installation. So the first, let me caution you that when you get it, and if you run it, for example, on Windows, it'll come up initially and tell you that this is potentially a virus-laden file that is not going to be good for your system. And the Windows Protect will come up with a message saying that, with a button that says do not run. So if you close the window or if you click on don't run, the installer is not going to run. Okay? So there is a little bit of information up at the top, and there is a learn more link there. So if you click on that learn more, it'll come up with a little bit more of a description, but it'll also give you a button at the bottom of that window saying run anyway. And so that's what you want to do. You want to click on learn more at the top and then click on run anyway, and then it's going to prompt you again that it might be infected, and you click OK, go ahead and do it, and then it does this thing with installation. Then if you have antivirus, like I'm running Avast, it'll tell you that it needs to check it. And so there's a bunch of stuff going on. Just let it do its thing, and it will eventually run. And you can download, as you can see from the screen, for Linux and Windows and even Mac OS. Sorry, Mac people, my usual Mac approach. So you can definitely get it. Most people obviously will run it for Windows, so that's fine. So you download it, it's not too big, and then once you get it to run, like I said, after all these security precautions and things, you get it to run, it'll look something like this, where it's got basically this very simplistic look to it. Doesn't need any more than that, and it shows that you're using either they have a paid version or a free license. In my case, I was not using them much, so I got my free license. It says I can export my whole personal profile with 329 public and 30 private posts into full JSON, or I can go and export images. I don't know where it comes up with, where this number 295 images comes from. Not sure about that. If that's just part of my public probably thing is my guess. And then you got Google Plus feeds, so you got various different, like for example, these here are pages, and it says Google Plus page. And then you got some of these here, the collection, and a bunch of collections, as you can see. Let's see what else we have. And there's community here, for example. So community. So basically, you can export pretty much everything that Google Plus allows you to have. As you can see, I have quite a bit of stuff. Okay, so once you get ready to export, decide what you want to do. The first thing you want to do is you want to download whichever collection or community you would like to do, and so you do one at a time, basically. And let's say, for example, let me try to figure out here what we could do here as an example. Oh, this is pretty small. One second here, let me see. Yeah, we're not going to do any huge things. Let's just do the extraordinary and pathetic companies. At one point, I was going to have this thing. So let's say so it doesn't have too many posts in there. So you can see an example. So the first thing you do is you find the collection or the community you want to download, and you click on download next to it by clicking on the download button, and it says preparing to download, and then it's going to do its thing, and it's going to show you as it's going, it's going to show you the progress of exactly what it's doing in terms of the numbers. You're not going to see every single detail, but at least it will show you what it's doing and that you see the progress is going on. So as you can see, we'll do it in real time so you can see how long it takes. So it took it a little time to get going, and then it's got going, and it shows you so far we've got 14 posts, 4 comments. I'm specifically trying to do a small one so you can see that it's okay. So it's pretty quick. So it says Google Plus feed successfully downloaded. Now I have options to refresh. Now refresh, what it does, it simply refreshes whatever the counts were. In case you add more content, you can refresh it and see whatever the latest is. But what you want to do is you want to click on export. And so I click on export, and now I have these choices. It says export comments. So if you want comments, you turn it on. If you don't, you turn it off. I want to export comments. Export private posts. You usually want to do that on also. So you have both public and private posts get exported. And it's export posts only created by me. I'm not doing that. So anybody who posted there will get exported. And then it says split export file to 5,000 posts each. I don't have anything near that. So for people who do, you can do that, and you can split it with as little as 1,000 posts and as much as 100,000 posts. Okay, and then it's got export format, and the default goes to WordPress 5, version 5 backup file. So for people who want to create a WordPress blog, they can do that. They can also go to version 4 WordPress, or they can export to JSON file. For those of you who don't know what JSON is, it's a kind of standardized format that's being used a lot of programming for exchanging data and passing data, and so it stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So if you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. Don't use it unless you have an application you're trying to import it into that also is requiring JSON. So you can either use WordPress if you want, or you can use Blogger. In my case, I want to go to Blogger, and so I'm going to have Blogger format. And so now that I've selected it, everything is good. I'm just going to click export. And so the next thing that happens, it exports it, and then it opens a window to where it exports it to. And that's one of the problems I had initially. I didn't see that it opens a window automatically, and I immediately fired off email to them asking, where does it put stuff, because it wasn't totally obvious. But it's basically putting into your user, your user's account app data roaming, which is the place where typically personal data, user data, I should say, for Windows is stored. And it's got in there a folder called Google Plus Exporter, and then it's got this Google-Plus-Exports folder that has all of these, and they usually have the name that kind of shows you where it's coming. I mean, what the name was before. It's got a special number on it. It shows that it's Blogger, G+ to Blogger. So very nicely done in terms of knowing exactly what it is. You're not going to somehow not know what's where. And at the same time, we can see that it's an XML document, which is XML is the format that's used a lot for importing and exporting data also. And that it's only, in this case, it doesn't have many posts in there, but it's only 69K. So it's very, very tiny files because it's just nothing but text and so on. And so with that said, now that we have the file, you know where it is, let's jump over to the Blogger side. And so I'm going to jump into Blogger. and I have a bunch of these different blogs there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull down on the current blog, and there's an option there called New Blog. So I'm going to click on New Blog. I'm going to call it, what do they call this before? Extraordinary and Pathetic Companies. Okay, so let's call it the same thing, Extraordinary and Pathetic Companies. Let's spell today. And we'll call it, same thing, I guess, or X, yeah, good, bad companies, the blog spot. And if you pick a name, if it doesn't like it, it's going to show you that, you know, it's already been taken. But in this case, it hasn't been taken, so I'm going to go with that, so it shows a little checkbox. Then you can pick a theme, so, you know, we can put whatever theme we want. We'll just pick something like picture windows, fine. It doesn't really matter. You can pick any one you want. And then you click on Create Blog, and that's how easy it is to create a blog. Now, once you create a blog, it's going to ask you if you want to attach a domain to it, and you can, you know, pick a domain you want. You can search for them. You can buy them from Google. They're the ones who provide the service. In my case, I'm not going to do a domain, so it's just going to be good, bad companies, or whatever I called it, .blogspot.com, which is fine. And so I'm going to click on No Thanks. So basically, I'm done. I have a new blog called Extraordinary Pathetic Companies. I got no posts in it so far. We're good. So now to be able to get the posts that I exported from Google Plus in here, you need to import them. And to do that, it's a little bit kind of convoluted, where it says it doesn't immediately come to attention. It's not intuitive. What you want to do is you want to go down while you're in the blog to the settings below. And when you click on settings, it's going to open a bunch of different settings sub-options. What you want to do is you want to go to an option called Other. It would have been a lot smarter if Google put import right there, but they didn't. And then under Other, you will see import and backup as the first thing. So again, to be able to import, you go into settings for this particular blog, whatever you're importing into, and then you select Other under settings, and then you select import and backup at the top by clicking on Import Content button. So let's go ahead and click on Import Content. Now it comes up with a CAPTCHA and making sure that you're not a robot. So I'm going to click on I'm not a robot, although I can speak today. And then it says automatically publish all imported posts and pages. So if you don't want it published, in other words, it's going to be all coming in as drafts, and then you can determine which ones you do want to publish, which ones you don't manually. Then you can uncheck this box, so it just everything comes in as a draft, and then it'll be up to you to publish it. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and just say publish it. So I'm going to have the checkbox there, and I'm going to say import from the computer. It says where do you want to import from. Since I already did this recently, it gives me the last folder I was in, which is exactly where I want to be. But again, to reiterate, if you're not there, typically it goes to your username, app data, roaming, and then Google Plus Exporter, and then Google-Plus-Exports. That's the path. And then you will see these kind of entries in there, and that's what you want to have. So I'm going to click on my Extraordinary and Pathetic Companies export. I'm going to click on Open. And then it's going to go and do its thing. And notice most of the stuff is relatively quick. I mean, as we were talking, boom, 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 it's done. So as you can see, I have only 14 posts, and that's what the exporter said I had. And notice it's got some company names in here and some other stuff, which is cool. So I'm going to go ahead and click on View Blog and see what it looks like. And as you can see, without much work at all, you know, this looks pretty good here. Now this doesn't look so good here. Okay, so it's got this huge image there. So they're not quite importing correctly there. This looks good. This looks good. Okay, this doesn't look too hot in this kind of format. So in other words, it's having some issues with imagery, right? But at the same time, just the way, I guess, the thing imports it, you can see that for the most part, it's not bad. I mean, you do have your content. I don't know if it's got any, if I do have any comments anywhere. Oh, here's one comment here. So there is Mark Barras here replied way back there. And so if we go and pull up Google Plus, we'll just quickly jump into that and go into Google Plus and go into communities, and let's look at my communities, your communities, right here. So this is the way it's supposed to look like, as you can see. And jumping back into the blog, let's go ahead and pull it up from the beginning. So the last entry says September 2nd, 2017. And here, of course, it starts from the beginning and goes to the end. No. Yeah, I'm not sure why they ordered. I guess the way Google Plus shows it. But anyway, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it looks like it's the right number of posts there. And then if we look at the, let's try to find this comment. No comments, no comments. 2 comments. Okay, so if we look at this particular post here, so it had to do with company. Company, it says unknown. It's got the picture of the loony bin. So let's show here, right here. Here's the post. Let's pull up this post. And I'm just going to pull it up on the screen here, so it's the main deal. So it's got company unknown, business extended car insurance. So it's got that. I got a call in the middle of the blue. So I got all the text there, the moral value to me, and yeah, so basically it's got everything there. And it's got 2 comments from Mark and myself replying, and there they are right there. So clearly it's doing a pretty good job. And this is May 26, 2016. And this was done on May 26, 2016. Yeah, so bottom line is that it does do a decent job. The pictures will get screwed up here and there a little bit when you do it. I don't know what's happening with WordPress, if that's much better or not. And this could be a Blogger issue, I'm not sure. But clearly, you can see it doesn't look too hot when it's like that. So I think it's because when you put things into Blogger normally and you add pictures and stuff, I think they adjust things on the fly. But when you're importing things and it just imports whatever size there is, it doesn't really pay much attention, just dumps whatever it was. So because this was such a huge image, it just dumped it in there, is my guess why it looks so bad, this particular. But you have all your text, you have, everything is in there, and you have even, boldface and things like that preserved. So rich formatting is preserved. So very nice. I mean, the Friends+Me gets major kudos for writing this. And it gives you a way to at least get existing collections and existing collection and existing, let me stop the share here. Existing collections and communities into some kind of format, whether it's WordPress or Blogger, where at least you have them, and then later on you can either do some copy and pasting or maybe some other way to export things and import. At least you won't lose it, is the bottom line. So for right now, you can set up these private blogs, for example, installations of WordPress or Blogger, and you can set them up to be private. You can import everything in there and just keep it there, so at least you have a record for future use whenever there might be. Because once Google shuts it down, it's going to be gone. And so even if you have it in Google Takeout format, whatever format they store it in, there's no guarantee you'll be able to import it somewhere else. So this way, at least you will have a visual representation of the actual posts in fairly decent shape for the most part, maybe in perfect shape. And then when they shut down, and then from there you go wherever you decide to. go with putting content somewhere, just keeping it for yourself, whatever works for you. As I mentioned yesterday in the other video, that I already transferred some content manually into MeWe because I heard about this thing being worked on, but I didn't know how well it worked and what it did and whether it did sufficiently or not. I haven't exported anything huge yet, but I exported some smaller things, and it doesn't occasionally. Like I said, with imagery, it kind of gets screwed up in many ways, especially when you're trying to have, like, I had a Google Photos album that was being referenced in the post, and it got seriously screwed up on the import. But that's to be expected. I mean, you can't do miracles with everything and anything. And so if you want to do manually, you'll just have to figure out how to do that part by yourself, and then you can move it into whatever platform you want. But if you want to automate things, then this is an excellent option to at least preserve it in the visual format, or from there you can go wherever you want to go. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. Google Plus is still up, so you can certainly reach me there. And you can also reach me on MeWe and